Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. And before I begin this channel, I would just like to say thank you to all the brave men and women who served our country. Happy Veterans Day, everyone. Now, the movie starts off with our main character, Grace, having a nightmare about about when about when about when she was in the army, and she can see in her dream that the plane is going down with her in it, and the pilot Bobby is going down with her, and then she wakes up. And then she grabs her computer and realizes that it is time for her to re-enlist, but she's been not ready to re-enlist yet. And she is helping her grandmother remember all her medications. And then the grandmother gets smart with her and says, I take the Monday pill on Monday, the Tuesday pill on Tuesday, and then Grace says, you know what I mean. It's important you know what all of these do so you don't have another heart attack. And then it is their neighbor Levi. His mother and stepfather has been shot. Abraham has passed. But Levi's mother, who is with child, but Levi's mother, who is having a baby, she is okay. They get her to the hospital in time. And it turns out that the brother and sister was hiding in the barn just like the mother told Levi they were. And it turned out that Grace worked in the army as a nurse medic. So she actually called 911 and actually helped Levi's mother, Claire. And don't worry, Claire's gonna be just fine. So, Levi, as the mother requested, took his brother and sister to their Aunt Rose. And Levi goes to see his mother. And the police actually questioned about what happened. And it turned out that Abraham bid it on a horse. He won some money, and the robber and the robber wanted some more money. But Abraham said he didn't have any more money. So the robber was about to shoot Claire when Abraham jumped in the way, and he actually got shot instead. And and the deputy actually tells Grace, the medic, that have like have you seen anything strange or odd at the house of the Millers? And Grace actually says no, but I only been back a few days. But if I see anything strange, I will let you know. And then the and, and then the sheriff says, "All right then." And then they go home. But he and then the sheriff just and then the and and then the sheriff just says, "All right then," and then the sheriff just goes. And it turns out about the sister Rose. They haven't seen each other in a long, long time, and this is why. We actually learn from Elizabeth, Grace's mother, that Rose actually married outside of the set. So when you're Amish, I guess you have to marry inside your set, because I did my research. I guess you have to marry inside your set. But since Rose married outside her set, that's why she hasn't spoken to her sister in years, because her sister was shot. And we actually learned that Levi loves to read, and that her and Claire used to be friends, and that way back when Levi's mother knew that he liked certain type of things. You see, Levi likes books. That's why he had a lot of books hidden in the barn that nobody knows about. And when he was young, Elizabeth used to love giving Levi books on Harold and the Purple Crayon. But when Abraham found out, he went to he actually went to Elizabeth's house and please told her to stop giving him books. So she no longer gave him books anymore. And to actually say thank you for saving his mother's life, Levi actually comes to the house and gives her a beautiful basket to carry her medical supplies in because Levi realized that his because Levi realized that her bag was falling apart. So he made her a basket. And let me just say, that's a beautiful basket that he made. He has beautiful craftsmanship. Oh, that basket is beautiful that he made. And it turned out that Becky, Grace's younger sister, has been sneaking out food to a dog that they adopted called Dusty. And don't worry, he doesn't belong to anyone because Becky has already checked, so they keep him for a while. And Levi thinks this is great that she has a dog. And Grace tells Levi, thank you for the gift. And then Levi tells Grace that it's not a gift and Grace, we are not friends. We cannot be friends, Grace. And then and then Grace says right. And then they both said bye to each other. And Levi looks back at her. Yeah, guys. Here's my hypothesis. I think Levi loves Grace. But he's trying to say he doesn't because, it's against the rules because it's just against the rules in their culture, and I understand. So, after this, well, actually, no. Yeah, after this, they have the funeral for Abraham, and Grace actually brings them a pretty nice fruit basket. And it's here that we meet the bishop. Um, um, the preacher of the church, and he is actually Scylla's father. Scylla is another character that we have to come to know in the movie. So, so, actually, Grace gives her condolences along with her grandmother's and the nice basket. And it turns out that Scylla actually act, 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 actually helps Claire inside, and they and, and they and they start to begin the funeral. And then Grace goes home, but she comes by the next day to help Claire with the baby, and it turns out that the little guy just needed to burp because he's a preemie, and and that he just needed to be held for 30 minutes a day, and Grace actually gives them a pillow, and Grace actually explains, you know, that um that Claire just needs to hold him for 30 minutes a day and he should be just fine. And since Grace is helping Levi out with his family, Levi actually brings Grace some cookies and they actually begin talking somewhere, having a nice chat. But Bishop Weaver says to them that Levi, but Bishop Weaver says to them, Levi, this Englisher should not be helping you. You should be taking care of your own family. And your Auntie Rose and your Auntie Rose should not be here. And then Levi explains how his Auntie Rose has been a wonderful help, and so has Grace in their time of need. And then the and then the bishop says that he will be sending his daughter tomorrow to help. So 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 with that, the next day Rose is gone, but I am happy to say her and Claire do hug when the kids return, because they've been staying at Rose's house. So when Claire does get better, Rose does return home. But I but guys, forgive me. I forgot to tell you this one thing. when when Scylla is there, Scylla actually tells Rose that that she should go back home. And since she is no longer welcome there, that she should go back home and they should not be eating with her. But Levi does take up for his auntie and says to her, "Perhaps you shouldn't speak on things you do not understand." And also when Grace comes to visit to see about the baby, just to see how he's doing. And she actually and 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 so and Scylla actually tells her that she will care for this family now, and that she is no longer needed, and that she is no longer needed there. And it turned out that Scylla is in love with Levi, and so that night, when Levi is reading his books, Scylla comes to his room and she says, "Oh, this is where you come to hide." And then Scylla tries to show Levi her nightgown, but he says, "Scylla, I do not like you in this way." And then Scylla sees Levi's books, and Scylla, Scylla finds out that he actually has feelings for Grace the Englisher. I am not kidding. This is what they call her in the movie. They call her the Englisher. So, when Scylla is feeling mad and sad because Levi doesn't feel the same way, and that she found out that Levi has books and books and 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 books are not allowed because the only be, because the only books that they are allowed to read is the Bible. Scylla tells her father. And then that night when Scylla saw the books, Levi made a fire and burned all his books so that he wouldn't get in trouble, or he wouldn't get his family in trouble by the church. And and um and um Grace actually and and, Grace actually comes to talk to him, and she actually offers to keep the books for him so he won't get in trouble. So, oh, I forgot to tell you. it turned out that Becky, the younger sister, is working on a project for the prison ministry where she writes letters to the prisoners to cheer them up some. So, yeah. Guys, keep that in mind because we will come back to that. So, Becky is helping out with the project, like through the whole movie. She is helping out with the project through the whole movie. Oh, and they adopt a dog named Dusty because Becky has been taking her dessert outside every single night and sneaking food outside. And then when they find out that Dusty has no owner, they name him Dusty and decide to keep him. So, well, while Levi is burning the books, the next day, Scylla wants to go home. So she goes home, and then Bishop Weaver sees this Levi's telephone. Well, his cell phone, and he promises to get rid of it. And then, while and and then and then that night, Grace is looking at her computer, and her army friends made signs that say, "We miss you, Grace." And then it turned out that Jake, a cow that came from Levi's farm, got loose. And then Grace brings the cow back. And then they have this romantic scene because it looks like they're almost about to kiss. Because Grace gets afraid of the lightning, and then Levi just and then Levi just looks at her like, "I'm here," and they're almost about to kiss, but then they hear a gunshot, so they run to the house, and it turns out that it is a gun that Albert found, and he just wanted to keep it in case the bad man came back. So he's afraid that the robber is gonna come back and hurt his family. So, so, anyway, so, anyway, Grace actually goes and gets the sheriff and explains that it is the same gun they used to kill Abraham, and the kid just found it laying on the ground. And Albert just found it laying on the ground while climbing a tree outside. So they take the gun. So the police takes the gun and in as evidence. But here's the thing. Becky's been working on that project the whole movie, and like whenever her family needs her, whenever she and whenever her family needs Becky, she is not there. That's because Becky. No, wait. I'm getting the movie all wrong. So they take the gun in for testing, and it turns out that it is the same gun and the same bullets that were used to kill Abraham. So the police just hangs on to it, okay? The police just hang on to it. And Becky is Becky, the poor little sister, is against the wall because she's been actually selling her grandma's stuff. Because throughout the whole movie, the grandmother's stuff that she has in her garage have been gone missing. Keep that in mind. All her stuff have been gone missing. So she has been calling the sheriff ever since then. And the sheriff is making a list about all the things that are gone missing. And the sheriff has been talking to Becky without her and the sheriff has been talking to Becky without Grace or the grandmother there. In the street. Now, keep this in mind too also. So, while Levi is taking Albert and Sarah home, his his um little brother and sister, there is an accident. But Grace is okay because there is an accident with Levi's wagon and Grace is driving and she almost bumped into Levi, but then she turned and then she hits the steering wheel, but she goes into the grass, but she's okay. There is nothing wrong except a little bumps and bruises, and it turns out that Levi has been worried about Grace all night. When she got home, Levi has been waiting for her all night just to see if she's okay. And it turns out that Levi tells Grace that I am in love with you and I'm going to leave my church and leave my family so we can be together, and then and 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 actually and and and, and actually Grace tells him no, and and then actually Grace tells him no, I can't allow you to do that. And then Levi asks Grace about how she feels about him, And then Grace says that she loves him too. And then Levi says, now that we know this, and then and 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 then and and then and and then and and then Grace says, no, now that we know this, I need to re-enlist to go back to Afghanistan, and you need to go home. And then Grace walks away. And then it turned out that Becky, all those times that she disappeared in scenes, and was talking to Officer Smalls. She was helping this young boy, Owen. You see, Owen used to deal drugs for Smalls, but it's not what it seems like. He used to. He doesn't want to anymore, so he quit doing it. And then Officer Smalls, the police officer, said, well, if you don't do it, I'm going to hurt everyone you care about. And he also told this to Becky. So Becky's been helping Owen by selling her grandmother's stuff so they can get so they can actually give money to Officer Smalls. But Officer Smalls catches him, and he tries to make it look like an accident. But Levi comes to the rescue by tackling him down. But Levi doesn't actually tackle him because he has now got the gun pointed at Levi. But Grace, with her awesome army training, she tackles him down, grabs the gun from Levi, and says, don't move. And they got Officer Smalls down, and then Officer Smalls gets arrested, and Owen is home free. Him and Becky are home free. So Officer Smalls will not be bothering anyone anymore. And it turned out that he was the one who snuck into the Miller's home, and so it turned out that Officer Smalls was the one who actually snuck into the Miller's home and shot Abraham. But don't worry, you guys. Because all and because Officer Smalls is arrested, and there is this little plot line where Scylla told her father that she is pregnant with Levi's baby, but that is not true, and she actually did apologize to Levi and tell her father the truth. That she was just jealous of Grace because be, 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 because she really liked Levi. So with Officer Smalls arrested and with Levi and, and with Levi admitting his feelings to Grace after all this time. It turned out in the next scene, Grace's family has a talk with her, and they understand that she wants to go back to Afghanistan, but her grandmother tells her what you may be looking for, you may have already found it, and 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 and, and we really want you to stay, and 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 we love you. So with that, Grace actually stays, and 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 she actually gets a job at the hospital. And it turned out that Levi's mother and sister and brother are going to go live with Claire's sister Rose and her husband Henry. And since Levi is going to be an Englisher now, he knows the perfect book to get on English weddings because Grace actually gave him a library card, and they admitted their feelings for each other, and they kissed, and he said that the first thing that he loves her and that he wants to be with her for the rest of his life, and they kissed, and then and and then and and, and then Grace says, well, Levi, what's the third thing? And the third thing is that he knows where he could get a book on English weddings. And then they kiss again, and that's the end of the movie. Bye, and see you guys in my next video. Oh, and again, for all those men and women who served our country, happy Veterans Day, everyone.